Once upon a time, there was a happy kid from a happy family who had a happy childhood. He was an average student, a class clown, and active in sports. The boy got a business scholarship to a school he would have never been able to go to otherwise. That's when the boy's life started to change. The easygoing kid no longer felt like himself. He was convinced that his family was plotting against him and that his friends hated him. His temples began to pulse and his head started to feel like it was vibrating. His stomach often felt like it was inside of his throat. At school, he made a habit of skipping classes in favor of staring up at the ceiling from his bed. Everything was consequential. A shower, a meal, each decision he had to make came with deep anxiety. If he had to leave the dorm room, the formerly confident boy gazed towards the ground because he believed that people could read his thoughts through his eyes. Occasionally, he'd feel a drunken technicolor happiness. On those days, everything was bright. Music sounded better. He believed that he was a genius. He'd write 5 poems in 10 minutes and spend hours sketching on a notebook. But when that feeling faded, he'd rip them out and throw them away. If he felt as if he were on top of mountains, it was only a matter of time before he was in the mud. The boy's brain no longer rested, so he didn't sleep. To fight the insomnia, he started drinking cough medicine. Then he began drinking it to feel numb. The boy was sick, so he went to the campus therapist who chalked it up to homesickness. The boy knew better, but he laid back down in his warm bed and made shapes out of the popcorn ceiling like he did with clouds when he was young and happy. He dropped out of school after his second semester. The boy would soon be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The diagnosis scared his parents, who looked at their son and saw pain in his eyes, who blamed themselves and nervously looked through the statistics that greatly increased his risk of suicide and criminality. The boy in turn felt dangerous, like something that his former self had shed. He was put on a regimen of antipsychotics which quieted his thoughts and dulled the color of the world. His symptoms were managed, but his soul was crushed. So the boy, who was now a young man, began the process of self-medication. He drank himself numb before bed because it helped him sleep. While his parents were at work, he'd type away at a novel, which gave him the excuse to drink in the morning. He'd give up on the novel every few days, reading what he wrote while manic. He'd close his laptop, which still wore the sticker of his alma mater, watch daytime TV, have a drink, and go to sleep. He spent the next few years unmedicated and self-medicated, angry and depressed and intoxicatingly happy and broken. But in a moment of clarity, he began to paint. And he felt real happiness again. He felt a sense of purpose. A therapeutic transfer of feelings onto canvas without rules or limitations. Chaos that he could be proud of. Years later, after trial and error, medication and self-medication, struggle and a small taste of normalcy, he met a beautiful, caring, broken woman who understood his struggle because she had one of her own. They healed together and got married and had a beautiful baby boy. Their story is still being written, but for all intents and purposes, they lived happily ever after. Hi, my name's Frank DePadua. I'm the co-founder of the Knowlie app, and the story you just heard is mine. We're living through unprecedented times. The suicide rate is skyrocketing. The suicide rate among children is higher than it's ever been. People are feeling isolated and depressed and hopeless. Unprecedented times require an unconventional solution. That's what inspired Knowlie. The current system was built on dinosaur bones. It puts sick people into boxes, writes them prescriptions, speaks to them once a month, and sends them on their way. When a leg is broken, it requires a cast. When a cut is deep, it requires stitches. But when a person suffers from mental illness, a nuanced approach is required. A system that places people into boxes is incapable of nuance. A system based on conventional wisdom is unable to address an unconventional crisis. The current system is expensive. That's why Knowlie will be free to use. The current system is exclusive. That's why Knowlie will launch cross-platform worldwide. The current system offers a one-size-fits-all approach, which is why Knowlie provides users with content ranging from cognitive behavioral therapy, meditation, yoga, fitness, nutrition, art therapy, music therapy, gardening, wilderness therapy, motivational speaking, hobbies, and more. This removes Knowlie's users from their box and puts them in the driver's seat. Knowlie believes surviving mental illness is essential, but thriving with it is a beautiful thing. The situation is dire, the system is broken, and you can help us fix it.